Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in again. Today I've got for you a tip that I learned from the man himself, the General, Larry Nixon. And when Larry Nixon tells you something, you take that and you apply it to your fishing. And ever since I've done that, it has become something that I always do in the boat anytime I'm throwing a shaky head. It is a tip that really, for me, I feel like has won me a lot of money and it saved me a bunch of lost fish. You can't replace experience. And if you're talking about somebody who's got a lot of experience, Larry Nixon is it. So guys, I want to share this tip with you. Before I do get into that, I do want to remind you guys, I just had a bunch of new lake breakdowns that I did have gone up on fishthemoment.com. The link to that is in the description. If the lakes that you want are not up there, you can also request a personal lake breakdown. Also, guys, we're getting really close to my first live stream for my members only. If you're not a member yet, you need to become a member. You'll get extra videos, you get direct contact to me, and we're going to do monthly live streams. We're also going to be giving away some stuff. So, guys, if you want a shot at that, you got to become a member. You can click the join page or the join tab right next to the subscribe button on my homepage on your laptop or on your computer, or you can go into the membership page and on your phone if you're using the YouTube app when you're at my homepage. Okay, guys, today's tip has to do with shaky heads. You know, two of my favorite shaky head hooks over the years have been a spot remover, the Pro model series. And the difference here between the Pro model and the regular model is the Pro model comes with the pigtail lock, screw-in locking mechanism for your worm. So that's one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites here is the Alien Head. I believe Gamakatsu puts this out. I'm not even sure if they still make it. It's a tungsten head. And the key here is this one's got, it's kind of just you push your worm on the top and it holds your worm in. A lot of different shaky heads come with one of those two variations. You know, the majority of them now seem like they're coming out with the pigtail, which is a fan favorite for holding baits up. And I think we've come to find that that really does hold baits onto your hook really well. They're probably the best thing that you can do. Versus, say, what I would call the push-on method, where you push your worm up. So, you know, some of them, like a regular spot remover, comes with a stacked cone keeper, similar to what I use in the guppy head. You just slide it up onto this little piece of lead that's sticking out, and it holds your worm in place. The problem with something like this push-up is the first time your worm gets blown through that, you end up not really being able to use that worm many more times because you're ripping a hole in the worm. Versus the pigtail, which what happens is your worm doesn't even come off of that. It gets pushed inside of the gap of the hook and you hook the fish and you're good to go and you don't go through as many worms. Well, Larry Nixon, the man, told me I was not catching as many fish as I should be by using a pigtail, guys. What he recommended strongly was that I use a shaky head that had some sort of push-up. So in this case, you know, if I grab here, this is just a Magnum hit worm. You can see all you do is you slide your worm right up that. And that's how it stays on the hook. The problem is when that pulls off, that it becomes harder to stay up. But what he says, and what I believe at this point to be very true, is when a fish bites, you want that to release because then you can drive the hook home better and you have more gap. Once that tip is through the worm, just like that, you're good to go. If you're using a pigtail screw lock, and I'm putting it on right now, you really cannot blow through that. You'll rip the worm before that happens. So what happens is your bait compacts, but now you've got a lot of worm inside of this gap. And a lot of times when you're throwing shaky heads, you're using lighter equipment. So your spinning gear, 8-10 pound test, you don't have that same power that you'd have to drive a hook home as you would if you were saying using a Texas rig, right? And the hooks are smaller and they're lighter wires. So you've got a lot of worm there eating up that gap. So because you're not pulling that off, the only way you're going to hook that fish is by compressing that worm and then driving the hook in. The fact that that does not release means you have something in the way there. Versus if you were to use the one that will pull out and release, you'll end up hooking a lot more fish and therefore landing a lot more fish. The problem is, guys, in that situation, you're probably going to go through a few extra baits, but that's fine to me. Or if you're in a tournament situation or you have a lot of a bait you want to go through, you want that to happen. Because in this case, when that fish grabs it, that worm will pull down and then you've got it basically out of the way. You have nothing getting inside of that gap. It's just something that you might want to think about the next time you go out using a shaky head. If you're losing fish and you're using the pigtail, it's probably a big reason as to why you're losing fish. Try giving this a chance where you're actually using a push-on one. And in the case of these alien heads, what I actually end up doing to create more gap is I'll remove this bottom one. I'll just curl it up for now. I'll remove it and then I'll just have one little hook coming out, so I have even more gap there. If you can do that on the shaky heads that you're using that have a push-on style, it'll even increase your bites better. For me, this is something that I went to. I mean, he told me this years ago, and when I went to this, you know, I was a really strong supporter of the Pro Model spot remover head. And I still like the spot remover, but I've actually gone away from the Pro Model to the regular model, which just has a push-on style. And for me personally, I feel like my hookup and landing percentage has increased pretty dramatically while doing it. It's just something I didn't really think I was losing that many fish. After he told me that, I went out. I remember specifically at one day where I lost like 5 or 6 nice fish. Ever since then, I switched to the non-pro model style shaky head, or just a push-on style, and I haven't had any days since then, and I very rarely lose a fish. So when the general tells you something, good old Larry Nixon tells you something, you listen and you implement it into your fishing and you become a better angler. So I hope that you guys will take something away from me. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. If you think I'm crazy, put it in there. I'd love to hear. If you feel similar, I'd like to hear that as well. Guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned. Another video coming out tomorrow.